welcome everyone to Series 1, Episode 2 of the Healthy Aging Podcast. My name is Lorraine Hart.
And my name is Susie Mollison. So Series 1 of our podcast is focused on healthy aging mindset. And today I have the absolute honour and privilege of introducing our very, very first guest to our podcast, the amazing Kathy Quinlan Perez, all the way from California. So Kathy is the training director of PSI Seminars, which is a personal growth and leadership company, which was founded in 1973. And Kathy's been the training director, I believe, for over 21 years. Is that correct, Kathy?
Yes.
Amazing. And you attended all the classes and then you worked your way up to this top position. Kathy is also the Vice President of PSI World, which is a non-profit organisation which is completely committed to building a better universe today so it can be cherished tomorrow. And I would highly recommend you check that out. You can see more about that at www.psiworld.org. Now, Kathy is a huge influence in my life. She is always looking at different ways in how she can improve the lives of others. And she is also the executive director and founder of Camp Choice, which serves underprivileged children in California. And again, she founded that like over 28 years ago and is completely committed to doing that. She's actually made a huge difference in the lives of millions across the globe. So I am super, super excited to have her as our very special guest today. Kathy, let's start by just having you introduce a little bit about yourself. Just tell the guests some information about who you are.
Oh my goodness. Well, thank you for that lovely introduction. I'm like, wow, who wrote that? So I'm super excited to be here with you two ladies. And when you told me that you were doing this, I was like, oh my gosh, this is so great. Because I'm 100% committed to my health, not just my mindset health, but also my physical health. Because I think it all goes together. So about me, let's see. Well, I just put my husband on the plane this morning because he's going to be one of the facilitators at our men's leadership seminar. And so, we were up bright and early. And so that was pretty exciting. So we actually have been married for, it's been a while. We're going to celebrate our 28th wedding anniversary in November. And so what's always has been a running joke to the two of us is that when we got married on the day after Thanksgiving in the United States. And so because we would both always forget the date. And so I would always remember, okay, so it's the day after Thanksgiving, which always changes that date, right? And so I'm like, so we are lucky because we get to celebrate the actual date and we get to celebrate at whatever date it is that ends up after Thanksgiving. And so I am a very proud bonus mom, I like to call it, of Gary's two beautiful daughters, Nicole and Natalie. And I'm very proud of I have so many nieces and nephews. I think I'm a really good aunt. And I love what I do. I love making a difference in the world, but I also love making a difference in my life. Because one of the things I know is that if we keep putting out like to give to others, that we're going to our energy is going to get saturated. So in giving to others, we also have got to give to ourselves and allow others to give to us. And so, I didn't know that many, many years ago, but I've gotten really good at, I got to take care of myself. And so that's what I was excited about your podcast. Because I'll tell you, Susie, there was a call one time that we were on and you were talking about how you're getting up at 5 a.m. And, you read that book about 5 a.m. What's the title of that book?
The 5 a.m. Club.
Yes. Okay. So I was like, 5 a.m. Like I'm good at 5:30, 5:45 and, and then work out at 6:30. But I'm going to challenge myself to do this 5 a.m. thing. Because if they can do that, all these people are talking about it. And I'm like, okay, I'm taking this one on. And so I think that's really cool. I love it. Even though you want to stay underneath those warm covers, no, I'm getting up, I'm going, right? And so I think that's really what, when you told me about your podcast, that, I was like, this is so perfect, because that's what it takes to take care of ourselves. Otherwise, we're going to get ourselves in a rut. And once we get ourselves in the rut, if we don't get ourselves out, we all of a sudden 6 months later, we look up and go, oh my gosh, like my pants are too tight. Like I was reading this article about how this summer, so many people are going to like fat farms, resorts, because during COVID and during lockdown, they were eating too much. So now they're like, okay, time to like get myself back in shape. And okay, that's great that they're doing that. However, what if you didn't get yourself into that mode? Like what would keep you out of that? Like as human beings, we're always either in a growth mindset, like moving forward, or we're in a decay mindset, like where we're just like, okay, let me just chill out, put it in neutral. I'm going to say that's, excuse me, still decay. And so, yeah, everybody deserves a day of decay. I am 100% clear about that. And, I'll, on a side note that this tells you something. So we went for a cruise for my 50th birthday. And there's 12 of us. All of us were in this industry, all of us. And so we get on the cruise, and before we even start walking up the stairs to get on the ship, we all stopped, got in a circle, put our hands out and said, okay, just so we're clear, this week is 100% commitment to decay. And then when we get off, we're getting back on 100% commitment to growth, right? I mean, everybody gets that. But sometimes if we're not conscious as human beings about what's happening, we all of a sudden will find ourselves at 7 days, and that turns into 14, that turns into 21, that turns into like it goes on until you can actually stop the cycle. So I've always been a huge advocate of our health and fitness. And as I was introduced to doing these leadership trainings, that supported me in really taking my mindset and going, oh, now let's get it all working together. Anything else I can answer about that?
No, that's absolutely amazing. I'm going to hand over to Lorraine. She's going to start exploring more of the topic of healthy aging mindset with you. So, yeah, Lorraine, over to you.
So, yeah, that was brilliant. I love that. Just making that commitment to being in decay sometimes, as well as to being in growth. And I do have some questions actually around that. But first of all, we are going to start every podcast with the same question, which is, could you tell us your top 3 tips for a healthy aging mindset?
Top 3 tips. Number 1 would be to treat your mind like a garden. And you are planting your garden. So to always be conscious of what you're planting in your garden. Because if you're not planting anything, something's going to grow. It's called weeds. So what is it that you're planting? So that would be the first thing. And secondly, I would say biggest tip is that wherever you are in your life right now, whether you are, Like whether you're judging yourself, like you're not doing that great, like, oh my gosh, I'm aging, I'm not really fit, I'm not really making the money that I really want to make. My relationships aren't really where I want them to be, that you really stop for a minute and go, wait a second. I have a choice in how I want all of these areas to be. And so for whatever reason, I have it here. So to not beat yourself up about it, but to like take in that moment and go, okay, it is what it is. Now what? And the third thing I would say is that you're valuable. And that the people in your life value you, but it has to start with you valuing yourself. So almost where you would look into the mirror and go, I deserve it, or I'm hot. Even if you're not seeing that because you got to put like a different picture. You got to put a different picture. I remember years ago, like, I think I was in my early 20s. And a woman that I just thought had the greatest figure in the world, Lauren Hutton, a model from the United States. Okay. I took her body and I put my face on it and I put it on the refrigerator. So that anytime I went to the refrigerator, I looked at her body and go, yeah, no, that is not a good idea. But if I wasn't valuing myself, and I wouldn't even be thinking like that. So I think
I'm going to come in. I'm actually going to come in with a story because that's incredible. And that's one of the things about the podcast is that Lorraine and I don't have anything planned other than that very first question. And when you just shared that story, Lorraine and I work with a direct sales company called New Skin. Yes. And we both know a lady called Catherine Freeman, who you also know because Catherine came along and took the PSI classes. And Catherine went through a stage where she was not happy with her weight. And so she done exactly what you've just said. She got a picture of a model. She cut her head out and she put her head in replacement of the model. And she used to carry that around with her everywhere. And we would talk, Catherine and I would do trainings on mindset, on dream boards predominantly, how to create a dream board. And Lorraine and I, we can discuss that more on another podcast. But people would bring out their dream boards and they would have their pictures of their houses and all these things they wanted to create. And Catherine would pull hers out and it was literally her face in this body. And that was it. She said, this is the only thing I want to create. And she would just carry it everywhere around with her. Now, she wasn't massively overweight. She was only a little bit overweight. The company, New Skin, were launching a new product. It was called TR90, and it was to transform the body in 90 days. Mm-hmm. It was a weight management program. Now, when they launch anything new, they will pick 2 or 3 people from a market and have them trial it so that they can create a story around it. Now, Catherine would never, ever, ever have been the person you would have selected because she wasn't a big leader in the company at the time. She wasn't that overweight. She didn't have a big following on social media. So from a business point of view, she wouldn't have been the obvious choice. Yet she's the one that got selected. She phoned me up and she's like, oh my gosh, Susie, the company have selected me to trial this product. Can you absolutely believe it? And I went, yeah, I can, because you created it. You've been walking around with that vision board in your pocket for months now. And she said, I have, haven't I? And she went on the program and my gosh, I remember her standing on stage, like all proud of herself, showing everybody her waist. She's like, look at my waist. I got my waist back.
Oh my gosh, I love that. Yeah. Yes, because she kept saying, here's how I want to look. Mm-hmm. This is what I'm going to look like. And then all of it. So that would be what I would call, she got her intention clear. And the mechanism appeared. Yes. And there was the result. I love TR90. In fact, I just rebought it. Because I love it. I love that just the whole, it gives you a structure. Some people really need structure. I personally need structure.
Yeah.
Like, okay, this is what I do at this time. This is what I do at this time. And because it just works for me mentally, physically, emotionally. And then it's like you have control of something. Because the truth is sometimes we feel out of control in our life. I mean, come on, especially in the last, how many months has it been? And so the only thing that we can control is us and our environment, so to speak. And so there's not a greater feeling in the world when you have that kind of accomplishment. Like you really did for 90 days and you like followed it. Yeah. You have little cheat days, you do a little this, a little that, but it's no big deal, right? Because like you have this really big goal at the end. And I love that. That's a great, great example.
And in PSI seminars, actually, you have a 90-day program called PLD, which again is all about the mindset, and it's all about creating different areas of your life. So you look at different areas of your life, and you create a goal against all those areas. Then you have all of this support, and it's a phenomenal program. And I think there's something special about that 90-day. It's long enough to be able to create massive change, but not so long where you feel overwhelmed, So I think that's a phenomenal program that you do within PSI seminars. So,
I mean, we're talking miracles happening. Even when I played Holy Toledo, how many years ago? 33 years ago, something like that. I mean, it's because it is a perfect program. Like we want to put ourselves in situations where there is obstacles. There is something that, we come up against. That's where the growth is going to happen. And so that's the point of those 90 days is like all of our I don't really need to do this. Was that goal really important to me? Do I really want this? Which we've all gone through when we've set something, and especially when it comes to our physical well-being and keeping our mind in check, right? And so when we can finally understand that the obstacles that we have in our life wouldn't be there if we couldn't handle it, number one. And the obstacles in our life are there for our growth. So if you don't have any obstacles in front of you, of course, we're not growing. If you're like, even today with my personal trainer, so that, so I'm doing, after I took my husband to the airport and I said, I swear we haven't done this arm exercise before. And she goes, yes, we have. I'm like going, oh my God. And it just like the top of my arms are aching. I'm like going, are you sure we've done this before? And, and I'm like, okay, this is good. I have to remind myself, okay, there's resistance in my body. I have to move through this. There's an obstacle here. And that obstacle is there for my growth. Hello, it's the growth of your muscles, Kathy. But it's the same place everywhere. What is the biggest thing that I don't know about you ladies, but, I can do it tomorrow.
Unless I have a plan or a structure, I can always do it tomorrow. So I need to, every single day, I write out a timetable for my day or it doesn't get done.
Exactly. Me too. And me too. I mean, I've been like super productive this week, and I find myself that I get so busy, right? That when I do come home, it's kind of like, I think I even did this in college, is like where, okay, I got 5 days to get this done. Let's go. So something that might take me 30 days in some project, I'm done in 48 hours. Or let me put it this way, or I have found the people to complete it or do part of it so that I'm not doing the whole thing myself. Which is another thing that is really great in terms of mindset is, as we're talking about this, is that share your dreams with people that will support you. And share your dreams with people that are going to cheer you on. Like okay, I'm gonna make this amount of money. I'm gonna drop this amount of weight. I'm gonna drop this amount of inches. I'm gonna get my body fat to this, whatever it happens to be. Like, share that with people that you know are gonna be your cheerleaders and are gonna say to you, I know you can. And are gonna be like on the side of the road cheering you on, versus the naysayers. You know, the one, oh gosh, you don't need to do that. Why would you want to do that? Well, because I can. And I want to keep getting better in every single area of my life. I think that sometimes especially when we're talking about mindset, is that sometimes the outside world affects our thinking. Or let me put it a different way. We let the outside world affect our thinking. So it's interesting. So we now have this new ranch in, it's a little outside, about 40 minutes outside of Santa Fe, New Mexico, in Pecos, New Mexico. Beautiful, beautiful mountains. Well, one thing about this ranch is that you don't really get cell service, only in certain spots. And you definitely never watch TV. That is not there. It's not happening. So the beautiful part of that is that literally for 7 days, you have nothing of the outside world. There's nothing on CNN. There's nothing on BBC. There's nothing over here. There's nothing over there, right? Is like you get to reground yourself in nature. And there's a river that runs through the property. So you wake up in the morning hearing the river. You go to bed at night hearing the river. And so as I was leaving, and I was there for like 2 weeks because I did the women's class and I did our life success course. I was like so grounded and so refreshed. And where did we go afterwards? I think I went to my brother's house, and I might have walked in and the news was on. And I was like, oh no. Okay, let's go sit outside. Not to avoid what's happening. No, I'm not saying that. However, how often do we allow those outside forces to affect us? Like, I can't do anything about that today. I can only do what I'm doing today, and to be the best version of me and to be kind to other human beings, regardless of where they come from. I am doing a great part and service to mankind. Absolutely. And if I'm the one that says it's possible, because I am a very big believer in the impossible is possible. But the only way the impossible is going to happen is from our mindset, period. If you don't think you can, you can't.
Yeah.
If you think you can, you can't. But that doesn't mean that you just sit and do nothing. Oh, no. You must take action, as you know, in the industry that you're in. Holy Toledo, how many people do you have to talk to get someone that's like, oh, this one's going to be a superstar?
A lot.
Yeah. Yeah. But then when you can see it in them, you go, this one's going to make it. And you believe that strongly in them. They become that person. But we also have to be that advocate for ourselves.
And Kathy, what would you say if someone was listening and they really resonate with this, but they don't know how to start, they don't know where to start? What would you say is something they can do for themselves to get that process going?
Well, of course, I would tell them to go to the website and enroll in the basic seminar on September 24th in Gatwick.
Yeah.
Definitely. And I do think that that's part of it. I really do, because you do have to take action. I love reading books. I love listening. I think by the fact they're listening to this podcast says something, that they want to do something. Now you've got to put it into action. So you want to listen to things. Yes. You want to surround yourself with people, and maybe you don't have that. How do I attract those people? How do I find that? Well, you got to keep searching until you land someplace, but it's just not going to fall into your lap. So you've got to do some, you know what? I'm pursuing excellence in my life. And, I know that one of the greatest place to start that is in the basic seminar. There's like no question about that, because there's so much that you'll discover about your thinking, your thought process that is designing your mindset. And the greatest news in that is there's something we can do about it. There is absolutely something that we can do about it. But I don't think that listening to whatever you're listening to or just reading is enough, because it's proven scientific research that generationally, that our generations are actually in our DNA. And what starts to unwind that is when we allow ourselves to be in experiential trainings. It's like when you fall in love, like when you really fall in love, you can never, there's no feeling like that's what you want. Like once you have fallen in love, and that, let's say they pass away, let's say something happens. You're not ever going to find the exact, but you know what it was. So you're going to keep searching and looking for that and attracting that back into you. Like you got a taste of it, even if you had a history of bad relationships. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. And just on that, I attended the Sci Basic myself a few years ago now, and something I'd love to speak to you about today, and just because I just feel it's such a topical thing at the moment, is the power of connection. And you're talking about love and all that, so I just wondered if you could just speak to us a little bit about connection and and mindset.
Oh, I love that, Lorraine. That's a really good. So connection as in human connection?
Human connection, yeah.
Yeah. I think that is something that all of us, I don't care who you are as a human being. I don't care what your political beliefs are, what you do for a living, what color of skin you are, what religion you are, it doesn't matter. Is that everyone wants connection with other human beings. And what stops us from allowing people in is because maybe we had past experiences of getting hurt or taken advantage of, or we really trusted somebody and they broke that trust. So, we've created evidence. And so, and we don't even know that consciously, because I don't think that people go, okay, I'm going to build a wall up inside of me. I don't think people do that consciously. But when we have disappointment, or someone lies to us, or we feel betrayed, or we said we were going to do something and it didn't turn out, it even starts with how we don't keep our agreements with ourselves. Little by little, we build up these internal walls, which separates us from connecting. And when we start to understand that our thought process, our belief system, actually built up those walls, that means that belief system can shift to take those walls down. And that allows us to reconnect. It's like, here's the deal. So often people go, well, I don't really trust very many people. Okay, well, I get that. However, does that mean that every single person is untrustworthy? No. But so we've decided, it's like there's certain people I'm sure that you would not trust to take care of your kids. You really like them, you really love them, but it's like, yeah, that's probably not a good idea. They might lose them. Or I'm not sure what they're going to do with them, right? And there's certain people that you would never loan money to, because you know you're never going to get it back. But it doesn't mean you can't still care about them. It's just you wouldn't trust them to do that. So I think that sometimes we blend things that don't need to be blended. It's like, I mean, the best one that when you say that, Lorraine, it's like, you know, I used to definitely believe that very few men were trustworthy, right? You know, I was like, yeah, nah, I don't think so. No, I just picked the ones that weren't trustworthy to have evidence for me to disconnect from having a relationship. And so when we start to peel back some of those layers of the onion that like go, well, gosh, you know, how come I'm not feeling connected? But the place that I think is most important that we have to first start to feel connected to is ourselves.
So powerful as well when you take that power back and just know that it's within you and it's about you. It's not about other people.
Yes. Because when we really allow ourselves to not just think, you know, so often people spend their time thinking about things and figuring it out or analyzing it and all that. Does that work for certain situations? Yes. But sometimes we definitely get caught up in thinking so much, we forget about, you know, for some people, it's the longest journey they'll ever take. It's about 12 inches from their head to their heart. Mm-hmm. And when we can start to reconnect what we're feeling and what we're thinking and create that kind of alignment, our actions are going to absolutely 100% produce what we want. Because that's just the byproduct. You know, it's something that we talk about in our leadership classes is be, do, have. So often people think, when I have the perfect body, when I'm healthy, then I can do this and then I can be this person. You know, when I have the house on the hill, then I can do this. Okay, so we completely opposite than that. I have to be powerful. I have to be confident. I have to be loving. I've got to be joyous. I've got to be committed. Then I do this, and then I'll have this. What I have doesn't define who I am as a human being. And that's a key note, is a human being. And I think that when we actually fall back in love with ourselves as a human being, we take better care of ourselves. That falling back in love with ourselves assists our mindset, because we start to understand, oh, it all actually is connected there. It's not always something out here.
Yeah, and we can do that at any age, Kathy, can't we? You know, it's like, and I am going to come back to the PSI basic seminar, because there is one getting held in Gatwick on September 24th. And I'm going to talk about that in a little minute. But I remember being on one of the PSI basics, and there was a lady there from Scotland who was in her late 70s, early 80s. And yet on the same PSI basic, there was somebody in there that was like 16. And, you know, it's just incredible to see that regardless of where you are in your life, it doesn't matter what your age is, that you can change at any time to create a better life for you, for your family, for the people around you. But it does start with you. You have to start with you, your mindset, taking responsibility for all your actions. And that would be one of the big things. It's like, you know, I highly, highly recommend the PSI Basic Seminar. I came to California almost 5 years ago to take the class because I'd heard such great things about it. And there is so many mindset courses and classes out there, which I'm so delighted that we have a lot of choice. However, I always look for the best, and the best is who's got a track record, who is not having to do millions of paid promotion to get it out there. And PSI seminars are the longest standing, I think I'm correct by saying longest standing personal development class in the US. So you've tested, you've went through years and years and years. There's not paid advertising. It is literally word of mouth. I remember seeing Bob Proctor talk about it, and I don't think Bob Proctor really talks about anybody else other than his, his stuff, but he talks very highly of it. And so it was absolutely worth me taking the journey to California to do the PSI basic. It was a 3-day class, and I left that class a different person, a completely different person. I did not believe that was possible. And, I heard people saying things like that, and I'm like, they're a little bit crazy. You can't change in 3 days. And I'm like, my gosh, I changed in 3 days. And I will be forever grateful to PSI seminars, to you, to the other facilitators who give so willingly to these people that come on that class that want to make a difference in their life so that they can age better and make a difference to all the other human beings in the world. So, so PSI is coming to the UK. It never used to come to the UK. It was always run in Canada and America. But some volunteers who took the class absolutely loved the class and said, we want to put on a class over here in the UK. And that's what we've started to do, So I think this is our 5th class over in the UK now.
Yes.
And, there's been some big challenges to get those classes running. It's been hilarious, the things that have came along. But when you're absolutely committed and determined to run these classes and know that it's making such a huge difference, then of course you're going to do whatever it takes to fight through those challenges to keep these classes running. And so, so I'm just doing a little promo there. I hope that's okay. A little promo alert. But I just want to share how incredible I think that class is. And anybody that is listening, my advice would be take action on that and get yourself on that class. You will never, ever regret it. Anyway, sorry, that was just a wee.
No, I love that. I love that because I think that is 100% true. And I do think that that's why we are the longest running personal development training company, is because you both are examples of what people do with the work. And what they do with all the tools that they learn in the basic seminar and the leadership seminars. Because if you don't put it into practice, it's not going to stick. So practice is the key. I'm seeing that just from working out with my personal trainer, is that, when I was up in the mountains, I thought, okay, so, you walk everywhere, everything's good. I had my weights with me. And then, the first couple of days I went, no, I'm walking around. And then I was like, oh no, this is not good. I have to have my diligent 6:30 in the morning. This is what I'm doing no matter where I am in the world, period. That's what I've committed to. Right. And I just saw how easy it was for me. Even for me, I could justify taking a walk, but I had to get back on the train. So the same thing with our mindset. Everything that we do, it's a practice. And sometimes we're going to fall off and then we go, wow, how'd that creep back in? Oh, got to get back on here. And a lot of times what we do is we start to beat ourselves up oh gosh, look what I just, no, just had a little obstacle there. Just was a test of how committed you really are. And that's the key. I think that's what you want to really embellish, is how, okay, I took these tools and I put it in practice. It's just like going to the gym. Of course, it's not going to be easy when we first go to the gym, but as we keep doing it, oh my gosh, how many push-ups can you really do? Same thing in regards to our mindset, same thing in regards to where we're getting our results. It might start small, but if you keep practicing, keep putting it out there. We used to have a saying of, you got to throw 100 up on the wall to have one stick. But the more that you keep throwing up on the wall, pretty soon you're noticing that, wow, 60 are sticking, 80 are sticking, 90 are sticking, because you keep practicing. And I think sometimes as human beings, we get frustrated because we want immediate gratification. Well, let me tell you something. I didn't get Lauren Hutton's body from immediate gratification. I actually had to work on that one. Like I really had to practice, you know, like I had to lift the weights. I had to eat the right foods. I had to do the right things to have that. But I had to be like that healthy person that I kept seeing. Like act as if it is so that it becomes so. Like if you want a new car, treat the current car that you have as if it is that brand new car. Same thing with ourselves. Same thing.
Oh, love that. Absolutely love that. And how on earth can we put 30 years of Kathy Quinlan Perez knowledge into 45 minutes? It's just not possible.
Yeah, now you just got me on a roll now. Now I'm like, okay, what else, ladies?
Well, I can't believe I just said it's not possible. I'm like, I can't even believe I said those words in front of Kathy. I'm going to get in so much trouble. Everything's possible, Susie. But yeah, no, I would love to speak more and more to you, and maybe we'll get you on a future podcast.
Oh, I love it. Thank you so much, ladies.
You're very welcome, but I do want to leave you with one more question, unless Lorraine's got anything else before I leave you for this one last question.
So just a bit something really quick just about the Sci Basic as well. Now, you know, I agree with obviously with everything that you've said there, but you know, sometimes it's one thing that someone says that you've never heard before or you've never heard it phrased. And I had the burden in my life of always having to be right. And I loved having to be right. You know, I'd go all out to prove that, you know, I was right. And, you know, it was a huge part of my identity, actually. And there is one sentence that happens on the Sci Basic that I'll just never, ever forget. And it was as if a train had hit me on the end of the Friday night, the last section. And it was as if I'd been hit by a train, and I just felt like, wow. So although, you know, it takes a lot of work, but sometimes it can literally be a sentence, you know, and if you just don't put yourself in the right places, you're not going to hear what you need to hear. So that was it. So thank you, Kathy. I've never said thank you to you for being the person. So thank you for that.
You're very welcome.
I love that.
You're very welcome.
That. So the question that I want to ask you just to close out, Kathy, is what would be the one tip that you can leave for the listeners that they are able to implement right now in regards to their healthy aging mindset?
Their healthy eating mindset?
Aging
mindset. Oh, you are number one, ageless.
Love it. Love it.
You're ageless. And I would start practicing every time that you think that you can't do something. Force yourself to stand up and like scream at the top of your lungs and jump up 3 times. I'm excited. Fake it till you make it, because you will make it. So I don't like Helen Keller always has a great line. Feelings are a byproduct, not the end product. So how often, well, I don't feel like it. And here we go. I don't feel like eating healthy. I don't feel like doing this. And so what? Let's go. Feelings are a byproduct. They're not an end product. Amazing. And sometimes we have and we're not our feelings. And there you go. Like keep asking yourself every day, what am I committed to today? Just take it in 24-hour segments. Like at the end of today, and when I put my head on the pillow, how do I want to feel about myself? Okay, I just use feelings. Okay, wait a second. How do I want to, what is it I want to be proud of myself for doing? So I put my head on the pillow. I'm proud of myself. I got up when I said I was going to get up. I'm proud of myself that I worked out. I did what I said I was going to do. I'm proud of myself that I treated people kindly. I'm proud of myself that I took risks in my life. I asked for things. I went to go talk to people that I would never talk to about my business. And I did that, and I put healthy things in my in my body, and I didn't let all the negativity of the world get on me. Like, I can go to sleep tonight and go, I did good.
Love it.
Absolutely amazing. Thank you so much, Kathy, for your precious time, for your energy, your knowledge. We are super grateful for it. And I know that everybody listening is going to have learned so much from that. So thank you so much for joining us today on week number 2, series 1 of the Healthy Aging podcast. Lorraine and I will be back with you again next week with another special guest speaker who is going to talk about healthy aging mindset. It's another one that you need to tune in for. You're going to love this one. Lots more fun, energy and excitement. And we are just wishing you all a really great week. Take on the tips that Kathy has shared today. And as I said, if you want to find out any more about PSI seminars, please go to psiseminars.com, where you can find out more about that. And just a little reminder that you can tune into Lorraine and I on all different podcast places, but also the Healthy Aging Podcast YouTube, Healthy Aging Podcast on Instagram, and then on Facebook it's a group which is called Healthy Aging. So you can follow us on all these platforms. We look forward to being with you next week. Make it the best week of your life. Goodbye, everybody.